tonight's FOMC mark a turning point? Hi, it's Charlie giving you Wednesday's video. I hope you're very well. So what I've got at the moment is a chart of the dollar index. And so with the FOMC coming later, the question is, could this mark a turning point? Because the market is pretty much fully priced in a 75 basis point hike. It's only, when I last looked, around about 19% odds of there being a 100 basis point hike. Now, it's only low odds of that. It's not to say that it couldn't happen, because they have been using quite strong language, as we know, since Jackson Hole. The market seems to have backed away a week ago after we had this candle here on the dollar index. That was after those inflation figures last Tuesday. This sort of shot up to nearly 50% odds of a 100 basis point hike, but it has fallen back down to this sort of number right now, 19-20%. So if we don't get a 100 basis point hike and we get 75 basis points, could this end up being a case of sell the fact? In which case, if I just get rid of that, in which case, if it's sell the fact, we could see that dollar sell off quite rapidly, and then start to work its way back down to this trend line that I have on my chart. Oh, talking of my charts and stuff here, I must mention to you, last Saturday we had a coffee morning, coffee and bacon butties and vegan butties. We got together a few of our members down in London, and it was great to meet our members. We do this with our members. That was our first meet, but we're going to be doing these, we try and do them about once every 4 months. Mind you, we've got another one coming up just before Christmas, so that'll be drinks. So it was really nice. Again, it's part of that community of of us, what we have here, and it's lovely for those people who are in the UK and close enough to London. Although we did have one person flew over from Ireland, and we had another person who was going to fly over but couldn't make it in the end. Anyway, it's lovely to have that, and I just thought I'd mention that that's all part of what's nice as the trader community that we have. So where was I? Oh yes, the dollar. Could we see a pivot? Now there's obviously a lot of language that comes in the policy statement tonight as well, and so what we're going to be looking out towards is the future dot plot. That's going to be taking us out to 2025, so where the FOMC members see policy going out a couple of years, so that's going to be updated. So what we've got at the moment is a market which is anticipating a terminal rate, so peak interest rates of around about 4%. It was 3.95 a week ago, then it's just gone a bit above 4.2. I haven't looked at it today, but we'll call it around 4%. So could it be that we end up, if that is the terminal rate, and then you've got the likes of the Eurozone, which are still playing, ECB are playing a bit of catch up in their policy, because they're behind the curve. They only started hiking in the summer, and so therefore the rate differential between the US and the Eurozone, we start seeing those rates coming up, which might make investment into the Eurozone a bit more attractive. However, we do have other flies in the ointment, what with the Russia conflict with Ukraine as well, which we've just seen Putin speaking early this morning, affecting the markets as well. So the key question then is, could tonight's FOMC create a turn in the market? I think when you get a major announcement, central bank announcement like this one, there is no more major central bank announcement than the FOMC, then there's always the potential, depending on if the language that he uses and the Q&A that comes out, something could be said that could turn the market. So yes, that could well be the case. We could see that retracement, but, and I have to say, the trend is to the upside, and of course, lots of traders are always trying to pick the turns in the trends. If you were trying to do that this year, and I've been in a couple of these counter trends, I must admit myself, But overall, these counter moves have ended up just turning back around again. The trend remains up, so just always keep that at the back of your mind when you're looking at this. If we look at, I haven't looked at the figures today, but if we look at what retail traders are doing, then I wouldn't be surprised if they are net short the dollar index. So I'm just going to press pause and just check that right now. Yeah, it's sitting at 68% of retail traders are effectively short the dollar. And so right now, and that's what they do the opposite a lot of the time to what the market is doing. So as the dollar has appreciated over this past week generally, especially in this last 2 days, then they do start to add to their short positions. It's not to say that at times they're going to be sort of right, but you have to remember that lots of retail traders, that positioning figure is growing. So they've been, they were shorting last week during this candle. So a lot of those retail traders are underwater because they don't use stops. So of course, when a market does eventually turn, it's going to look like retail traders were right. But how much underwater were they? Because what tends to happen is as soon as price gets back to their break-even level, then they jump out. So that's a bit of a concern there, in that 68% are short, or effectively 68% are long the euro dollar at the moment. Now, like I've said, if we are in for a pivot, if we are in for a turn here in the market, if the FOMC is not bullish enough or hawkish enough, then certainly we're into enough support here on the euro dollar and on the pound dollar. The pound dollar, if I take us out to the monthly charts, the pound dollar is at these, or it's breached, but it's still around these March 2020 lows. There is enough potential support that could turn these markets back around. But I think the main thing to watch out for is anticipating that the trend overall, whether you're looking at any of these, if I could go out to the New Zealand dollar, I could go out to any of these, the trends are to the downside. So even if we had a bit of a blip up, it depends on that FOMC, the trend is still to the downside, and it's the same with the stock market as well. So unless there's something which really spooks the dollar, then any up moves could start turning into something, of course, a more sustainable bounce, but be very wary in the very short term, i.e. tonight. If you all of a sudden see a blip to the upside, I would be waiting for a bit more confirmation before doing anything there. So don't be like those retail traders and start buying in right now on the Kiwi or whatever just because it's going down and you think it's cheap, because they can get cheaper. Okay, I'm going to be trading that this evening with our members. Good luck for tonight. Do always keep at the back of your mind where those trends are. Yes, we can get some moves, we can get some turns, but you've got to wait for that. Not just the policy statement, you've got to wait for Powell's speech and Q&A to really know whether there is a genuine turn coming in, or whether it's just noise and then those trends resume again. Good luck. I shall see you on Saturday.